Hi guys, it's Crystal from Keto Carnivores Chris, and I'm going to show you how I made this yummy surf and turf Omad. It was all done on my cast iron, and you can see here I have it heating to a medium-high heat, and you can literally see it's quite hot. That's when you want to start. I had 3 strip steaks that were seasoned with salt and pepper, and I put the fat cap on the pan to use the fat instead of adding fat. I am trying to watch my fat right now, but I have used pork belly fat in the past or bacon grease. That works really well. I was just using the steak's own fat to season the pan a bit before I placed them down, and you can see there it's already got a nice crust on the fat cap. I then laid out the steaks. I did put the biggest steak in the center of the pan. That's where it was the hottest. I pressed down just because I like a nice crust on my steaks. And I forgot to mention that I let my steaks come to room temperature for a good hour. I know most people do a half hour, but I find I like to, even if I'm going to grill them outside, let them come to room temperature for an hour. And you can see the one side had a nice crust already, and then I flipped it over. I let it cook for a minute, and then I added a little bit of butter. Not as much butter as I normally would, again, because I'm just trying to watch my fat. So it was quite hard for me to scoop the butter out and coat the steaks. I just really added it to lock in the flavor, give it a bit of color, and for taste. But again, I usually use a lot more than this. This was a tablespoon shared between 3 steaks, so not very much. Once I was done coating the steaks, I then transferred them over to my cutting board so they could rest. I did take the biggest steak off first. This steak right here, this is the one I ended up eating. It wasn't the biggest, it was the medium-sized one, and this one was the smallest. And it didn't get as nice of a crust, but it was still cooked good. I then added about a tablespoon of butter to my pan just to spread it around, and then I took the remainder off. I had already shut off my heat at this point because my skillet was quite hot, and salmon and shrimp don't take long to cook at all. I added a wild Alaskan filet to my pan. I seasoned it with salt and pepper, and I forgot to say it did have a skin on this filet, so I put skin side down. I added some lemon juice because I didn't have fresh lemons, and I tried to add a little bit of that buttery lemon flavor on top. I then added the rest of that butter to the other side of the pan, and just to give it a good coating before I put my shrimp down. Again, there is no heat on right now. I had already shut my burner off. The pan was still that hot. And then I added my shrimp. This was just thawed shrimp that I had got from Costco. I lost count of how many pieces I added, but I just kind of spread it out the best I could. I did season with salt and pepper as well. I kept the seasoning pretty simple for this meal. My steaks were just seasoned with salt and pepper. The shrimp were seasoned with salt and pepper, and I did add a little bit of that lemon to the fish, but it was again just salt and pepper. You can see that the shrimp did cook quite fast. The skillet was still quite hot. I just kind of moved it around to get a little of what little butter there was left in the pan, and so that they would cook evenly as well. Again, the shrimp and the salmon fillet were already thawed and ready to go before they were added to the skillet. I did add a tiny bit more butter just to kind of add a little bit more flavor. Normally, I'd be using a lot more butter, like I said, but I'm just trying to cut down on fat slightly for the month of April to see if I notice any changes. And you can see it was not long and everything was done. I didn't really speed up the process of this video. I even left the sound on so that you could hear. There are my steaks resting. Again, I went with the medium steak. I cut off the fat of my steak only because I'm doing lower fat again for the month of April. I had cooked a steak a few days prior to this that was about the same size and weighed it when it was raw. So with the fat pieces that I had cut off, I'd say this was about 6 to 8 ounces. And it was cooked perfectly, the way I like it anyways. I know I don't have a fancy thermometer or anything to test the inside temperature, but I like it just like this. I did remove the ends of the steak only because, again, there's more fat there. So I did cut off the fat cup and remove the end pieces and then transferred it to my plate. I added my salmon and then my shrimp, and you can't see it right now, but beside the pan, I had another cast iron skillet going on a low heat that I had added some sliced mushrooms and onions to with just a tiny bit of butter. I let it cook on low while I was cooking, sort of to saute the mushrooms and onions and give it more flavor. And I will be topping my steak with that. But you can see there, everything's on my plate. I'm ready to go. I did add some black truffle sea salt, flaked salt, to my steak before I added my onions and mushrooms, just to give it a little bit more flavor. I don't use this salt often, but I do like it. I often forget to use it actually. I do love flaked salt though. And then I topped it with the onions and mushrooms. Again, they were just sauteing on a low heat. I added them to the pan at the same time with just a little bit of butter. I kind of put the lid on and set it and forget it. And there you have it, my surf and turf Omad. Everything was delicious. I do prefer to grill, but when I can't, my cast iron is my go-to, and this turned out perfect. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And until next time, bye guys. Thanks for watching.